I just can't get away from a good time.
It sets up deep in the pocket. Goes down the field for Smith. Oh, he got it!
This ball is drilled to center field. Pilar at the wall, gets there and hangs on.
Top shelf where mama hides the cookies.
This infield is a great wall of China. Nothing's getting past us. Good D behind you, Bry. Good D all around.
Get the garbage out of here.
He runs to the 50. He runs to the 40. The guy is drunk, but there he goes.
It's not always whether you win or lose. It's whether you're winning or losing.
I guess that's what I'm saying, Brooksy. You get that through your head?
Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of Sports Chatter with Bax and Patter. I'm your host, Brandon Bax.
And I'm Patrick Reed. It is February 1st, 2017. This is episode 4, and let's get right at her.
Yeah, on today's show, we're going to have all our major food groups covered, all our major sporting groups. We're going to talk some NHL with some Leafs and Raptors talk in the NBA. We're going to preview Super Bowl 51, which is coming up this Sunday. We're going to talk a little baseball. The Jays made a signing, and there's a few news and notes from around the league, and we're going to talk a little NHL as well. We're going to get into an injury report and see who's injured around the major leagues. We're going to get into our cleanup segment, where we're going to wrap up all the other sports that we don't normally cover, and we have a new segment to tell you about, so we'll get into that a little bit later. But first, we're going to start with some NFL talk.
Bobby, water sucks.
It's my team. It's my quarterback.
Whoever said you had to be good to play football?
Will you teach me to football?
I'll teach you anything. Just don't eat me.
It was all that Dan Marino's fault. Everyone knows that.
Come on. Football.
Yes, Brandon, it is Super Bowl 51, and it is a big one. Madden 17, the EA Sports game, has the Pats winning 27-24. I think that's fairly accurate.
You know what? If we're going to make our picks, we might as well make them right now. I'm going to go with Atlanta in this one. I know you're going to take the Pats, and I guess I'll start and explain kind of my side of the coin here. I think Atlanta has got an edge not only offensively but defensively, and I think they've had a tougher road to get to the Super Bowl.
I'd agree with that. I'm going Pats. I must say that. Although I do think Atlanta can win. If all their prayers get answered and some sort of divine miracle happens. I mean, I don't know how you go against Bill Belichick and Tom Brady with 2 weeks. They've got the defense, which has allowed the fewest points in the league, even less than the Broncos last year. And people were calling the Broncos defense of last year the greatest of all time. LeGarrette Blount, he's got 18 TDs this year and is an absolute beast. I don't know if you saw last week or a couple weeks ago there, he pretty much took on the entire Steelers team and still made, 10 or 15 yards.
He is a beast, and it's hard to argue with any of the points that you just made. I mean, I hate going against Tom Brady or Bill Belichick in any situation. I just think that their road to the Super Bowl was a lot easier, and they have not faced an offense all season like the offense they're about to face in the Falcons' record-breaking offense this year. They have weapons all over the place. Matt Ryan is on fire. Julio Jones tearing it up. They have two-headed monster in the backfield there with Tevin Coleman and Devontae Freeman. I think they're going to run all over the Patriots. It's going to be a very high-scoring game. It's going to basically come down to which team can get to the quarterback and kind of disrupt their rhythm because these are two teams that have two really good quarterbacks.
Yeah, one guy I'd really like to watch on Atlanta, and I mean, I must say I want Atlanta to win, but my heart's Atlanta, but my brain says Pats. But Vic Beasley has been an absolute beast for Atlanta this year. I mean, he just puts pressure on the quarterback, and he just gets after it. And like you said, along with Julio Jones, which I think, if the Pats wanted to, they can shut him down. But you also do have Mohamed Sanu and Taylor Gabriel as receivers there, who have been absolutely fantastic this year. I just don't know how you go against the experience of Tom Brady and the rest of the Patriots.
Yeah, I that's just my pick. I'm going to stick with Atlanta, and we'll talk about it next week. We'll break it down. We'll break down the whole NFL season and how we got to the Super Bowl next year. But as far as handing out the trophy, what do you think it's going to be? I mean, if Brady wins, Is Roger Goodell going to want to give that trophy to him? Is it going to be a little awkward, do you think?
No, I don't think Roger Goodell really cares. I mean, it's like Gary Bettman in the NHL. He thrives on it, right? Although I think Goodell will be a bit more serene about it and kind of just go about his business and pretend that nothing's ever happened. Whereas Gary Bettman has kind of embraced his Satanism.
So do you believe Brady when he says then that there isn't any extra motivation in this particular Super Bowl? I mean, I know he's got 4 in his pocket already, but geez, there's no extra motivation this time, considering he's sat out 4 games for basically nothing, and Roger Goodell seems to have it in for him and Belichick and Robert Kraft now.
Brady has studied under the greatest liar of all time in Bill Belichick, so I think right there and then it shows you that he's lying. I think this one means a lot to both of them and the Krafts as well.
So what do you think this game then means to the city of Atlanta, and maybe a guy like Matt Ryan, who has always been labeled as kind of the guy who never could get it done, especially in the big moment? He's got his big moment now.
Well, I think this would be huge for Atlanta. I mean, but on the other hand, I think Matty Ice is melting.
And on that note, we're going to head over to some NBA talk.
Well, hold on. I just want to go through and mention a shout-out to somebody who's probably going to be making a lot of money down there in Houston. That would be Money Manziel taking his $50 selfies.
He is from Houston, Texas. He'll definitely be there at the game, that's for sure.
Should we jump on the NBA then?
I think we should get into some NBA talk.
Don't travel, don't double dribble. I want a good clean game and no back talk.
I figured since I'm going to be like Mike, I might as well dress like Mike, you know.
Lowry, half-court heave, a prayer at the buzzer. Oh!
Hey, stop hogging it, Mike. We're your teammates.
How do you intend to match up to the Squire's strong inside game?
It's a great question. Tomorrow, after the game, Jackie Moon, will wrestle a bear.
Well, Bax, the Raptors are still struggling. They got a big game going on tonight against Boston Celtics.
This game is it's for first place. First place is on the line in this one for the Raptors. They won last night in a big fashion over New Orleans without DeMar DeRozan again, but Kyle Lowry just continues to tear it up for them.
Yeah, the defense is still struggling.
Yeah,
and I don't know if it's a can't, won't, or don't want to.
Casey just can't seem to get these guys going. I don't know if they're all kind of having like nagging injuries. I don't know if their just heart isn't in the defensive end right now. Carroll seems to be playing through an injury right now. So
yeah, we'll get into that a little more in the injury report. But I mean, these guys, they're saying don't panic yet, but I mean, DeRozan's still not 100% healthy. They're losing to weaker opponents and letting them score record points for this season, scoring more than they usually do. Sullinger is still struggling. I mean, I know he's just coming back, but he had those games in the D-League to kind of get his conditioning back, but I just don't see it happening. One guy who I'd like to see a lot more from is Norman Powell.
Yeah, I would love to see him a little more off the bench regularly or more in the starting lineup if he has to start. He's really impressive. I mean, we saw him live a couple weeks ago. He is quite the specimen out there. You see the dunk that he had on Anthony Davis last night.
Put him on a poster.
Absolutely insane. Love watching Norman Powell play. I always say he reminds me of young DeMar DeRozan. If he could only hone his skills to that level, geez, I think the Raptors have a prospect here.
I think even more DeRozan is that he enjoys playing defense is what I see. He gets his jollies off of shutting guys down. He's got that will to play it as well. It's almost the Bismack effect from last year there, where he came on the floor and he just jacked guys up and just got excited about playing D. And I mean, you see that this year. They're missing that.
Yeah, and when fans kind of talk about the panic and panicking this season, I wonder if it's more the Raptors and other teams kind of catching up to them as opposed to the Raptors kind of sliding down. I think other teams have finally started to catch up to them in terms of their division, as well as these other lower level teams that they used to just pound in the years past, and now they've finally built themselves back up.
Yeah, I mean, that's a discussion you and I have had countless times where I see these guys getting better and better and catching up to the Raps, and the Raps are just kind of staying pat. I mean, they signed Amari Carroll a couple years ago, and that was supposed to put him over the top, but I think he's been a huge disappointment. JV has taken a step back from last year, is what I've seen.
Which is surprising because he had a really strong playoffs last year, especially against Miami, and we thought that this year he would really be able to take the ball and run with it. And so far, he hasn't really done that this year.
No, he hasn't given Casey a reason to trust him. Speaking of Casey, if they can keep this, if they can get ahead of Boston Celtics here, then Casey gets to coach in the All-Star game, which I think would be a great tip of the cap to him.
I think it would be an honor for him.
Yeah, absolutely, because Lou did it last year, Lou Black from the Cavs there.
Mm-hmm. So I mean, I would love to see Dwayne Casey coaching an All-Star game. He should have been coaching in the game in Toronto last year.
Oh, that would have been beautiful.
Yeah, it would have been awesome, and he definitely deserves it. He's been a long-time coach in this league, and I hope he stays a Raptor coach for a while because I really love what he brings. He's just really got to get these guys to play defense.
Yeah, he needs to get him to buy in. Just mentioned the Cavs casually there. A little bit of a stir caused with LeBron and Barkley. What are your thoughts on that, Bats?
Well, I think that it's really interesting that LeBron is talking so much smack to an NBA legend and a guy who's been around the game for as long as Barkley has been. I understand LeBron's point, but I understand Barkley's point, I think, a little bit more. You are a superstar, the best player in the game, and you're whining because your team has lost a couple games in a row and aren't spending even more than the max level of spending that you can in this league. They are number one in spending by a long shot, the Cleveland Cavaliers, and LeBron is still complaining. Just get out there and play basketball.
I'll agree with that. I think LeBron took it too far in making it personal. I mean, it's Barkley's job to be critical and analytical of what's going on in the league and with guys. And I mean, you saw when Barkley called him out, LeBron played better the next game. He tried harder. So I think he should be sending Barkley a thank you note for getting his button gear.
That's the Barkley effect.
The Barkley effect.
Anything else NBA-wise we want to touch on?
I think we've touched on everything that I have. I mean, we can keep you up to date on the game if anything spectacular happens there. But other than that, I think we should keep on rolling on to the Blue Jays.
Hitting is not about muscle. It's simple physics.
Do you drug test the players?
No. On into the windup in his first offering. Just a bit outside.
You stink, Strawberry! We want home run homer! Daryl. Hey, Yankees! You can take your apology out of your trophy and shove it straight up your ass!
And those Toronto Blue Jays, they have made a signing this week. They have signed left-handed reliever J.P. Howell, a 1-year, $3 million deal, a 33-year-old lefty. Kind of struggled in 2016, but this is exactly what the Blue Jays needed in that bullpen to support Aaron Loop. They need a lefty, and hopefully J.P. Howell can be that guy.
Yeah, I won't mention the youth movement just because he is a pitcher. But, yeah, I struggled in 2016, which is why I think he was available so cheap. I mean, you've seen a few relievers go away for big money. Brett Cecil being one of them.
Brett Cecil, yeah, you got a big deal with with the St. Louis Cardinals, pardon me. And the Jays are also looking at David Robertson from the Chicago White Sox.
Yeah, I mean, I think talks have cooled down on that one, but I mean, still a possibility. But in their rotation, in their relievers, they've got a kind of a competition going with Aaron Loop, Matt Dermody, and Brett Oberhauser. So from those guys, they should have an okay, I would say,
from the left-handed side. Anyways.
Yeah, exactly.
I think their righties. I mean, they're pretty set with Osuna, and they've got Biagini in there, and then Jason Grilli. I mean, I don't think they're going to need to use Grilli as much this year, just because of his age. They're going to have to back off on his workload a bit.
Absolutely.
But if they can get one more right-handed arm that can kind of help those guys in the 7th and 8th inning to bridge the gap to Osuna there, I think the bullpen will be okay this year.
For sure. And it sounds like they're going to stretch out Biagini a little bit just in case they do run into, knock on wood, injuries in the starting rotation, or they need a kind of length reliever.
And that's something that we've kind of talked about as well with the Jays starting pitching being so healthy last year, and I'm thinking that they'll hopefully continue to be this healthy. But I think Biagini is best suited in the bullpen. But it is good to see him stretched out in spring training.
Absolutely. And another Jays note: Vlad Guerrero Jr. Ranked 34 on the top 100 prospect list. So there is depth coming through the system. I think they have got 4, including Vlad, in the top 100. So that's good to see. And hopefully those guys. I believe there's a shortstop, an outfielder, and a right-handed pitcher. So hopefully those guys can come along quickly and keep developing into major stars.
Yeah, I believe Connor Green and Sean Reed-Foley are the 2 pitchers, and I think Anthony Alford is the outfielder. Rowdy Tellez, I'm guessing, is the shortstop, and it's a solid core group of prospects there, along with Guerrero. That may be the future of the Jays. We're talking 2-3 years down the road, I think, at least. For some of them, they're pretty young. But
2 years away from being 2 years away?
2 years away from being 2 years away, Pat.
On another MLB note, the Astros, if you remember a couple years ago, the Cards hacked into their system there. So the Cards have been fined $2 million and been stripped of draft picks, which the money at least has gone to the Astros, which, deservedly so. I think it was one of their old scouts that came across and ended up hacking into the system kind of thing, which you don't like to see that too much.
No, and this is
almost Belichickian.
This is a little bit of a Belichick trick there. It's a really old story that is finally kind of been put to rest. And the Cardinals, I think, are really lucky that they didn't get fined a lot worse than what they got.
Absolutely.
Only a couple draft picks, mind you, they're first rounders, but only a couple draft picks and a couple $1 million for really cheating the game.
The guy ended up going to jail, actually. I can't remember his name off the top of my head.
So, they really lucked out. And, not that franchise needs any more help baseball-wise, but the Cardinals, they really lucked out.
Speaking of luck, let's head on over to the NHL, and we'll see how the Leafs are doing.
Listen up. We're still in this thing. We just need a quick one. Listen up, Cash! We gotta work harder than them, okay?
What is icing?
Well, icing happen when the puck come down, bang, before the other guys.
Doesn't count unless you go Bardowski.
You gotta go Bardowski, Schmel.
It's knuckle puck time.
And it's time to talk some NHL hockey. The Toronto Maple Leafs came back from the All-Star break, and I think they were still laying on the beach when they got to Dallas.
Yeah, some of them were, that's for sure. Austin Matthews was good at the All-Star game, I think. A little bit nervous, I think you saw in the game. Missed a breakaway there, had it fall off his stick. But other than that, I thought he played well.
Yeah, he got a goal too, didn't he?
Yes, he did. It did end up. As far as the Leafs themselves go, like you said, tough night on Tuesday against Dallas there. What are your thoughts?
Well, Freddie Anderson got absolutely lit up, and I don't even think it was his fault in that first period there. They gave up 5 goals, and I think it was 3 goals in the first 6 or 7 shots.
Marinson was a disaster.
It just didn't seem like they were really kind of ready to play, and we thought this was going to happen after their week-long layoff just a few weeks ago, and they came out and they beat the New York Rangers, I believe, in a really solid game. But this time they were off for 4 days, and they couldn't get anything going against Dallas. They had an answer for pretty much everything the Leafs threw at them.
Well, and Dallas is a run and gun team too, which makes it even kind of worse. I think Babcock really took this one hard. You heard in his press conference after, he wasn't accepting any of the. Well, I guess he was accepting some of the blame, but he was throwing it right back on the players. And I think a lot of media type have kind of thrown the Leafs here under the bus. It's almost a self-fulfilling prophecy. People are saying like, oh, these guys are going to hit a rookie wall, or they're going to slow down, like they're going to collapse. And I think some of the players are maybe starting to believe it. But a lot of these guys have been playing year-round hockey since they've been 12 years old. Or even before that for some of them. So they know what it's like to play high-level hockey competitively all year round. So I don't think there is a need for the concern that they're playing too much, or they're not going to be able to keep up this game every second night pace. If anything, they should have an advantage because they are younger.
Yeah, and I think that the media should really back off on the whole rookie wall thing. These guys have gotten 170-plus points already this year. They're killing it in the league in terms of points scoring for rookies. This team is extremely young, like you just said, and And a team like Dallas, the veteran kind of savvy Dallas Stars, that I don't really understand how they're so low in the standings in the Western Conference. But yeah, maybe a little goaltending issue there. But
I think $10 million between them, and neither of them could stop a beach ball. I think you have a better goals against average.
Back in my playing days, yeah, for sure. Yeah, so they really brought it to the Leafs last night, but I think that the Leafs will turn around against St. Louis on Thursday. I think Babcock will really have them going early, and if they're not going early, then they're going to be down just like they were against the Stars.
Absolutely. I think a name that popped up here on Wednesday was Tom Gilbert, just waived by the LA Kings, and I mean, if the Leafs so choose to throw him into the fray, I mean, they haven't been shy about picking guys up off waivers. I think they picked up Seth Griffin twice. And, I mean, Tom Gilbert could really help them on the back end there with making that first pass out of the zone, which they've really struggled with, Bax.
Yeah, and
I think they're last in the league.
And he's a relatively inexpensive defenseman that you can kind of bring in. He's got the veteran poise. I think that's exactly what this team is looking for this year, or even in future seasons on that blue line. They need a little more veteran savvy and a little more smart guys with the puck and puck handling and moving the puck up to those very talented forwards.
Well, and as you pointed out, he can't be worse than Marincin.
No, he definitely can't be worse than Marincin or Corrado.
So the Blues the Leafs are headed to St. Louis. Big Blues news today. Hitchcock getting fired, and Mike Yeo, who was hired at the beginning to be the heir apparent, is now taken over for sure.
I just thought it was an odd time to hire a coach a year into. Well, he was an assistant, right? He was supposed to be assistant for all of this year, but
associate coach.
Head coach. Yeah. So and I'm a big Ken Hitchcock fan. I mean, I've loved him from the start. He's a great guy. Philadelphia Flyers. I mean, he's just been amazing as a coach, and I don't think this team was and this season was really any of his fault.
No, not too much. I mean, you have the goaltending issues between Allen and Cody Hutton there, and neither of them can seem to stop anything. And then you have all the personnel going out. I mean, from TJ Oshie, David Backes, and Steve Ott, all going out the door. I mean, that leadership core is gone. The veteran presence is gone. And I mean, I don't know the guy. I haven't heard too much about him, but it sounds like Vladimir Tarasenko is kind of taken over that room, and it doesn't seem like he's a big fan of Hitch. So I mean, he may have just lost the room.
Could have been Phil Kessel effect.
Could have been the Phil Kessel effect.
And getting coaches fired, that was his thing. So maybe Tarasenko kind of had something to do with that. Though I do love Tarasenko as a player. He's one of the best in the league right now.
He is a bright spot, but it's his third year in the league. He still needs somebody to kind of show him that way.
Exactly, yeah. And I think that's what guys like Shattenkirk and Pietrangelo and that's what they're there for, but it's just for some reason hasn't gone. It's similar to the Dallas. With goaltending hasn't been there, so the team hasn't been there for most of this year.
Absolutely. And I mean, speaking of, you threw the name out there, Kevin Shattenkirk, get a first-hand look there on Thursday night and see what he can do against the Leafs. I know the Leafs have been in trade rumors with him, so it could be interesting to see him.
Yeah, and if it's a toss-up between Shattenkirk or Gilbert, we're going Shattenkirk all the way here for sure. I think the trade market for him is going to be very high, though, and it's going to definitely include Nylander and or JVR as well as a first-rounder. So we'll see how much teams are willing to pay for a guy like Shattenkirk as the trade deadline approaches.
Yeah, absolutely. Another note from the NHL, Brad Marchand, notorious rat.
Notoriously hated, almost as much as the Vancouver Canucks.
Oh, absolutely. But another slewfoot there against the Tampa Bay Lightning. And I think this is, his third one this year?
Is there any word on any kind of suspension or hearing?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Maybe
come
down
the
from
league
the
is just getting used to his antics.
Yeah. I mean, this guy, he needs... he was in the All-Star game. Like, you don't need to be a rat.
He just needs to stop sticking his nose in other people's business.
Well... But he needs to stop sticking his leg out and tripping people is what he needs to not do.
Anything else NHL-wise?
No, I think that's all I've got.
Oh, look at that! Oh, my goodness! They just dropped the stretcher. Oh, my goodness.
I think I'll live. Yeah. And again, I have no idea what that is. That's what you want to know?
Your manager said you were sick.
Yeah, I had a diarrhea.
All right, we're going to get into some injury news now.
Pertaining to our local Toronto teams, we got Riley. He was skating there Tuesday morning in Dallas, but Babcock said he wasn't ready to go yet. Ben Smith is getting close from his upper body injury, which begs the question if Freddie the Goat is long for the Leafs or if he's going to be going back to the AHL.
Well, I hope Freddie the Goat's going to stay because even though he might be a little bit slow, he's great on the draws, and he's 6'5" every shift.
6'5" every shift. Some broader news. Oh, sorry, DeRozan. DeRozan is still out for the Raptors. He came in, played one game, I guess.
Against the Magic, he must not have been completely healed up there, and they ended up losing that game anyways. He should have just sat him and continued to sit him out.
He had 22 points that night, but I guess he just wasn't feeling the ankle.
Yeah, and these are two games. Well, I mean, they won against the Pelicans, but this Boston Celtics game tonight, this is when they really needed him. So hopefully he can rest up and be ready for the stretch drive in the playoffs.
Absolutely. It sounds like Damari Carroll is fighting through a finger injury, which could explain why his shot is absolutely terrible.
Yeah, and he shouldn't be taking any 3-point shots for the Raptors anymore.
Yeah, but I mean, you can still play defense, can he?
I hope so.
Around the rest of the country here, Galchenyuk, for all you Habs fans, looking to be close here. I believe he should be coming back Thursday night for the Habs, which is great because he's been out for 2 months, and they could really use that depth up front. I mean, Carey Price is struggling, and
Carey can't do it all by himself. Even when he's struggling, he's an amazing goaltender. But you need more than just a good goalie to win, and they haven't really had the scoring this year in Montreal. That's kind of been their thing they've been lacking, especially with all the injuries. So
for sure,
Alex Galchenyuk will definitely help.
Sounds like Gallagher's well on his way to recovery too, which should be good. I think he broke his hand there a few months ago, so they're giving him a broken stick so that he with no blade, so that he can't shoot the puck and re-injure it.
I mean, the thing about the Montreal Canadiens, we'll talk about them really quick. They're still, with all these injuries, they're still, second?
Yeah, they're rolling along.
I mean, and now they're getting all their guys healthy right before the playoffs. I think we should look out for the Montreal Canadiens in these playoffs.
Dark horse. Another one for the Cavs, actually. Channing Frye should be returning tonight, Wednesday, from his injury. So LeBron's getting some help.
Good veteran presence right off the bench. The old guy can still shoot.
Well, you'd think so. All right, let's get into our brand new segment right after this.
So what you're saying is we're at this level, but we got to get to this level.
I told you all that I was the greatest of all time.
A cool dude, a good teammate, good attitude about things, probably get some chicks.
And this is a brand new segment. It's called The GOATs. We're each going to come to the show every week with a player that we would like to have an honorable mention for the week. So you want to share your GOAT for this week?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to go with Mitch Marner. I mean, he's been having a fantastic year with the Leafs there. People were criticizing his size before the beginning of the season, wondering if he can even make the team, and I think he's proved everybody wrong. He's tied for second in rookie scoring and just humming along. And this past month, January, he got Rookie of the Month, which is, I believe, a record. There's been 3 Rookie of the Months for the Leafs, which is impressive.
That is very impressive, and I'm going to go with another Toronto athlete as well this week in Kyle Lowry. He has been carrying the Raptors' load ever since DeMar DeRozan has gone down. Even though they have only won a couple games since DeRozan's gone down, Lowry has been an absolute beast, averaging almost 30 points a game. And his assist numbers are also up. So Kyle Lowry is my GOAT for this week.
I'd like to throw in an extra little honorable mention to Chris Pronger and Justin Bieber, the Celebrity All-Star game there. Prongs, I don't know if you saw it, but he put Bieber into the boards. And I mean, it was all good fun, but it was still nice to see Pronger getting after it.
And who doesn't love that picture? That picture is going to go down in hockey history, I think.
Iconic.
Clean up on aisle 4.
Clean up on aisle 3.
But we're going to need a cleanup on aisle 3.
Clean up on aisle 3. I got it.
Testosterone spill on aisle 4.
Clean up in all the aisles.
So we're going to go into the cleanup segment now.
Yes, this is a segment where we just tidy up all of our loose ends with all the different sports that we didn't quite get into. We're going to go through some curling, Bax.
Jennifer Jones.
Jennifer Jones will be missing the Scotties for just the second time since 2005. And the first time was in 2014, and that's because of the Olympics. She went down this week, and won't be playing in the Scotties, but it's not all bad. She's going to get to go to the Brier and watch her husband compete for Team Canada. Brent Lang will be there.
Yeah, Jennifer Jones has been a curling staple for quite some time out of Manitoba there, as you were saying, and a curler for Canada for a very long time. Quite the athlete, and I guess she'll be missed.
Yeah, it'll be different not seeing her there. We'll get into some TFC news. They re-signed midfielder Benoit Charroux, which is great. He was on the second place finishing TFC team.
And if you remember, he scored. He's not a big goal scorer, but he scored one of the big goals against Montreal in the second leg that got the TFC into the MLS Cup final.
Yeah, and they've signed a French player, Chris Mavinga. He's a defenseman, 25 years old, and he had a couple missteps in the European leagues. But the TFC are hopeful that he'll bring some magic here with a little change of scenery.
Yeah, I think he'll fit well in with the defenders they already have. He'll probably be a good guy to have off the bench, or just in case there's some injuries, they can throw him in there and see if they got some talent there.
Absolutely. I don't think they're paying him a lot of money either, which is helpful. Speaking of not paying a lot of money, CFL news. The Argos makes 3 signings today. They bring in a linebacker, Victor Butler. He played 7 seasons in the NFL. And they also brought in 2 wide receivers, Chuck Jacobs. He played with the Ravens and the 49ers in the NFL. And R.J. Harris. He's actually German.
Oh,
R.J. Harris, yeah.
Interesting name for a German.
Yeah, that's what I thought. And I believe he played for the Saints for a bit, and lastly with the Falcons on the practice squad there.
So we see a little bit of Argos kind of rebuilding that. I think they cut almost half their receivers last year anyway. Well, so, it's time for them to start rebuilding, and I think they're finally going to start doing that. They still haven't hired a coach or a GM yet.
I haven't heard anything.
Who's making these signings then?
I don't know. Tim Lewicki.
Yeah.
UFC. We haven't gotten to UFC yet. Yeah. Stephen Thompson wants JD Josh Donaldson to give him the belt if he wins UFC 209, which will take place in March 4th versus Tyrone Woodley. So that could be interesting.
It could be interesting. I'd love to see Josh Donaldson outside of the Rogers Center, outside of the baseball diamond.
Yeah,
he's
quite
the celebrity.
Vikings show.
He's on the Vikings show. Honestly, he's everywhere. Such a big personality. But Tyrone Woodley, kind of a tough competitor. So we'll see if he can take him down.
Yeah, we'll see. Back into some other news. NASCAR. Dale Earnhardt Jr. making his return after a 6-month layoff. He was cleared to start driving in December, and it sounds like he's going to be coming back to the circuit. And I think NASCAR's a lot better.
I think so. Yeah, he had some health issues that kept him off the track for about 6 months there. So it'll probably help their numbers. Not that their numbers really needed helping anyways. There's a lot of NASCAR fans in the USA.
And Danica Patrick needs to figure out her sponsorship here, but that's a
whole other story.
That's a whole other can of worms. I guess we'll get into good old Heatley watch here after this.
Okay, it's time for the easiest part of any coach's job. The cuts.
Danny Healy, I'm in a slump, I'm an all-star, so.
Who was that?
That's right! Who do you think you are? I am! You tried your best, and you failed miserably. The lesson is, never try.
Now, who are you again?
All right, welcome back to the last segment of the show. This is called the Heatley Watch. We pick an athlete each week, and we basically talk about how they were a high draft pick, and now where the heck are they?
Yeah, and this week we're going to go with the man, the myth, the legend, Heatley himself. Yes, he was drafted to Atlanta, had lots of success there with Ilya Kovalchuk. Unfortunately, there was a terrible accident in 2003, which really, I think, derailed his career and kind of his entire life. I'm sure you guys all know about it with Dan Snyder. It was terrible. But after that, he wasn't quite the same. He had a lot of trouble in Ottawa. I mean, he scored 50 goals in 07, but other than that, I mean, they had a falling out. He went to Anaheim for a bit. He bounced around through the AHL, and we've just tracked him down. And where is he, Bax?
Oh, he's playing in Germany.
Playing in Germany. So
Well,
at least he's still playing.
He's still playing. He's playing some
36
level
years
of,
old, right?
Some level of competitive hockey at 36. That's not bad. My top Danny Heatley moment would definitely have to be when he was playing for Ottawa. That Spencer Heatley Alfredson line used to always kill us Leaf fans. So.
Oh, absolutely. He was a heck of a player. Even when he was with Anaheim, a bit of a lesser role, but I mean, he could still shoot that puck. He could still put it in the back of the net, and I mean, it's good to see that he's at least doing something.
Yeah, but for a top draft pick that had a lot going for him, it's unfortunate to see how far he's actually fallen off the map.
An all-star.
And that's going to do it this week for Sports Chatter with Bax and Patter. Enjoy the Super Bowl this week. We'll recap the Super Bowl next week and all your other sporting news.
How do you think we did?
Good job!
I thought he was okay. You know, just okay.
It's not good, eh?
Terrible.
Screw you guys. I'm going home.